Well, good morning. It's bright and early here. Gonna get started on this bumper. What I'm working on today is this crack, and there's actually one on each side. The donor card this came off of was missing all of the panels underneath that connect this, and all the clips and stuff that hold it to the bumper and all that. So this was just sort of dangling in space, and it's just ripped over time. And so it's ripped down this side, and it's ripped down this side, and you can't really see it. It's underneath the car, but I don't want it to rip any further, and it will. It'll just continue to grow. So we're going to try this plastic welding hot stapler, I think you call it, and see. I've never used one before. So we're going to give it a whirl, see how it works, and see if we can at least just shore this up. I'm not too much worried about it cosmetically. I just don't want it to keep ripping. We'll end up doing something on the visible side, and because we're gonna have to paint this. Because obviously you can see the hood behind me, bright red, bumper, not. So we'll do maybe some flexible filler or something in that crack, and just to make sure that it looks nice. But for now, I just want to make sure that it doesn't rip any further. So this is gonna be sort of a review, I guess. I don't really do a lot of product reviews, but if anybody wants to send me products to do reviews on, though, I'm happy to do them. But this is not one of those. I bought this with my own money, hoping a relatively inexpensive fix for this. So let's see how it works. So just to give you an idea what we're working with here. This is what I've got. I'll put a link down below. It was just an Amazon buy. It's fairly cheap. I think it was like 30 something, 36, 38. I don't remember exactly. It's an all turn, not some turn, all turn, 100-watt plastic welder. It's a kit, and it comes with this. I've been playing with it a little bit, trying to learn how to use it. So some of this has already been opened, but this is your little welding tool, and it's really kind of like a soldering iron if you think about it. It's got two contacts here, and then it's got these different shaped staples, and they go in these little two holes here, and it creates a circuit, and it gets hot and melts its way into the plastic. It also gives you some little side cutters, which can't have too many of those. A relatively strange looking break off utility knife. It's interesting. Also, utility knives, can never have too many of those. It gives you another tip here you can put on, and that will use as a flat melting plate tip for stuff like this. This is like a plastic or polybutylene, probably some kind of ABS filler. So you can fill little, gouges, or fill the crack on the outside if you've got, the crack is still visible. So we may try that, I don't know. But for now, I'm just gonna try one of these staples and see if we can get this to work. So I think the first thing I need to do is make sure that it's as close to together. Like it's kind of, you can see how it's, so this whole bumper is so flimsy and flexible. It wants to flop around and separate. So I've got to hold this together, and I only got two hands. So I'm gonna try to see if I can hold this here where it's together, and then throw some duct tape or something on it. I think metal tape, like you'd use for HVAC work, whatever, would work better because it would be more heat resistant. And I don't really care about marring up the finish here because, like I said, I'm going to sand this down and paint it anyway. So I'm going to try to throw some duct tape on it, some Gorilla tape, basically, and see if I can hold it still. So, and then you use the stapler on the back side where you're not going to really see them, and weld it from the back. And so the front should stay pretty smooth. Get from around the edge here. I'm going to try to shore that up from the end where it's the most flexible. So one of the problems I've got is this wants to flex out. So let's see if I can strap it up, so to speak. I wonder about putting a rope around it, but it's working pretty well though. The other thing about that metal tape that would work better, it doesn't flex much. Now, duct tape doesn't flex a lot, but I'm sure it flexes a little. Like it stretches a little bit. More than I'd probably like it to. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's underneath. So, you know, let's not make a career out of this. Because this is so flimsy, I got the back, the sort of the support for the bumper, for the nose cone laying here, just to kind of keep it from flopping over. See if we can get down in there with a welder. Okay, so we're gonna weld, or staple, I guess, in here. You can see I've been practicing already, and I'm not very good at it. One of the problems with this, that I've already noticed, is these are the staples. They're supposed to go in those holes, and they don't really line up. So you can get them in there. Let me get it to focus here. You see how that's kind of bent? So it puts a lot of tension on there, and it doesn't come out real easy. That's in there nice and clean. But that should be lined up with the middle of that probe, whatever, and it's not. So you got to kind of angle them in there. And it gets in, and it gets hot, and it melts the plastic, but then it won't come back out of here. The tension on this is stronger than the tension in the plastic. And so this pulls back out. So I'm going to try to do it again, but leave it in there for a little bit, let it get good and melted, and then let it dry. Let it cool off, I should say. And then see if the plastic will hold it in. I'm also going to grab some air and see if I can use air to cool it off even faster. All right, so then the other thing I've run into, just sort of logistically, I guess, I don't know what you said, like just, I can't get it in here straight. I can't go in here straight this way because the whatever this, I think it's the fog light housing is in the way. This way, I want it to go side to side so it gets that curly Q, the most, you know, pull. So I'm going to try to see if I can just push this out a little bit and get in here as straight as I can. That way. Alright, so you just kind of set it in here. You don't want to go too deep either, because if you go too deep, you'll blow out the other side. This isn't real super thick. So, let's see how we go. Pull the trigger, gets good and hot. Woo! Let it cool. Hold that there for a second. Let's try to see if we can. Cool it off even faster. Nope, see? And that's what I'm running into with this. It just won't stay in there. I don't know if I'm not going deep enough or how hard that comes out. Like there's just no way the plastic's gonna hold that. So far, I would say I'm not terribly impressed. The one nice thing about it, it's an instant cool, like other than the fact that this is hot, but this isn't, the tips don't stay hot here. I'll try it again, and then I'll use see if I can use these to pull it back out. So ideally, the plastic would melt and melt around it and then hold it in, but obviously it's not doing that. Do a little more here. You probably want to do this in a much better ventilated space than I'm doing it. I bet that smoke you see coming out probably isn't very good for me. I do have a fan in here, an exhaust fan, so I'm going to hit that on here and it might get a little noisy. So I'm going to try to see, now that it's not hot anymore, see if I can grip it. Seems to be working a little bit, but what a pain in the butt. There. Alright. So, that's in there. Sort of. Let's try another one. So I guess I would say, I'm not sure, like I'm not saying these staplers don't work. I've seen enough people use them that they must work. But this one, I don't know. I don't know if this is one I'd recommend. You need a bunch of them. We're going to line this whole thing with these things. You don't need to put too much pressure on either. It will just sort of melt its way in. But you got to put enough pressure that it sinks in, especially when you're going sideways like I am. Whew. I also wonder, now I'm doing it, if I'm cooling it too fast. And the plastic is cooling before it's had a chance to, you know, mold around the staple. Yeah. Let's fall right back out. I don't know. It's possible I'm not very good at this. It's also possible it sucks. But those are about equally possible. Let me try it again, and this time I won't use any air. Let me see if I can just let that plastic on its own. Because it does say to wait about 30 to 45 seconds. So we'll do another one here. Maybe not quite so far in the tool. Maybe that's another one. I'll just wait. Probably I'll be wearing a respirator. I bet this plastic smoke is really, really bad for you. What do you think? It's been 30 seconds yet? Feels like it. Feels like it's been 10 minutes. Alright, well it came off awfully hard still, but it did stay in at least. Yeah, that's still quite hot. Now we'll cool it. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not impressed. It might be that this kind of plastic, this doesn't, you know, or maybe it works better for harder plastic than this I don't know what you call this. I think it's a polypropylene or polybutylene, probably polypropylene. Real flexible. I think I'm gonna give up on this thing. Yeah, that didn't work as well as I'd hoped. You know, it happens sometimes. You hit these little bumps. Now, usually when guys do reviews, it's to tell you how good, awesome something is. But in this case, I'm going to tell you how not awesome something is. I think if the tool itself, like this type of tool, might be really good. I don't know. I've never used one before. Let's move these before I knock those off. I've never really used one before today, so I don't know for sure. But this one is not very good. That one I will say. So if you're thinking about buying something like this, don't buy this one. Get a, you know, it's possible that a gooder tool would work gooder. There's other options for this that are a little more expensive, but we'll give those a try maybe. There's one where you put some mesh down, some metal screen, adds that support, which is probably what this needs since this is so flimsy. It probably needs something else that's going to give it a little more substance to it. And you kind of melt that in and then cover it over with some plastic, melted plastic filler. So I might try that next. That's a different tool than this one. So I might just send this one back and try a different tool. But that's going to take a little while. So for now, I think we'll just wrap this up. Sorry, that didn't pan out to be quite as awesome a review as I thought it was going to be. I was really kind of excited about this tool. But I'll still put a link down there if you want to give it a whirl. But at least then you know which one not to buy. Like I said, I bought this with my own money. I don't make any money on these tools. I don't get these tools for free. If somebody wants to send me one, just know I'm going to give it an honest review. If I do a review on it, you're going to get honesty from me, and you might not like what I have to say. Normally, I kind of wrap these things up with something like, well, I hope you learned a little something. And in this case, you maybe learned what not to do. But you kind of see how these things work, I guess. Maybe you learned a little something. If nothing else, I do hope, as always, you gain a little confidence to give it a try. This was like 30 bucks. So, you know, if I can't send it back, I'm out 30 bucks, and that's kind of a bummer, but I'll find some use for it, I'm sure. I never know. Just leave it around here in the mess of a garage I have. Never find it. Know somewhere I have it, but when I need it, but I can't remember where I put it. You know, stay tuned. We'll get this thing bumper put back on and get all the body panels put back on, and we'll we'll do the sanding and paint later. Right now we got some other things to do. So good luck with your project, and we'll see you next time. This stool is not working. I'm sinking as I talk. I can feel it.